Who is more powerful? A being who creates an entire multiverse, one who dreams up space-time itself, or another who changes reality with his own will? Today we'll find out who the most powerful being is in Lovecraft's mythology. I know you're probably thinking, wow, M for mythology. Haven't you said in several videos that Azathoth is the most powerful? Yes, I have, because I believe he is, as do many others. There's no real agreement on which creature is the most powerful in Lovecraft's universe. And there are several reasons for that. First of all, because Lovecraft never made it very clear which being is the most powerful in his universe. He never explicitly said Nyarlathotep was the most powerful, or that others bowed to him. That never happened, and it wouldn't have made much sense for him to do so, because many times in Lovecraft's stories, we have a character narrating the story, and the creatures in Lovecraft's universe are incomprehensible. If the character doesn't even know exactly what he's seeing, how is he going to say which one is the most powerful and which one isn't? And the way Lovecraft describes these creatures ends up giving the impression, in their respective stories, that they are the most powerful beings. They're like Cthulhu saying that when he wakes up, he's going to end the world, or any other kind of description Lovecraft gives to his creatures, right? An amorphous conscious mass in the middle of space-time that understands everything and blah, blah, blah. So you end up thinking, you say, wow, that creature is tough, and many times it's not. It may be true for the humans in the story, but compared to other beings in Lovecraft's universe, it's not really the case. Then, after that comes Lovecraft's expanded universe, with those ancient beings that we pretend don't exist. And then comes the power scaling community, which ends up reinterpreting things, since they're the guys who think that just because Kratos killed Kronos, who had the temple on his back crawling on all fours in the desert with his tongue hanging out, he could go head to head with, I don't know, Goku. So, because of this kind of thing, there isn't a 100% correct answer. And does everyone agree on who is the most powerful being in Lovecraft's universe? Today we'll discuss 5 beings that often make the list and consider if they're truly the most powerful in that universe. And let's start by addressing the elephant in the room, or rather, let's start by addressing the giant anthropomorphic, draconic, demonic octopus in the room. When we talk about the Lovecraft universe, there's no way not to mention Cthulhu. And as incredible as it may seem, a lot of people think he's the most powerful being, especially because he's the most famous. And, whether we like it or not, our dear Davy Jones kaiju does have some pretty considerable powers. I think one of his most well-known powers is that he can communicate with everyone, actually influence everyone, through dreams, even when he's dreaming. Also, because even down at the bottom of the ocean, he can get into the minds of those people who are more sensitive, like artists and poets. And the crazy ones too, driving them insane or making them start a strange cult. There, he also has an incredible regeneration ability. Also, because when he was hit by a boat, which is kind of pathetic actually, but he was hit by a boat and exploded like a balloon. But then all the pieces came together and Cthulhu came back to life. And with this information, we can already conclude that he is also immortal. He can't be killed in any way. Apparently, he can travel through worlds and the universe, though exactly how is unclear. We don't know if he has a ship or travels from planet to planet, but it just says that he, along with his offspring, that is his children, came to Earth where they colonized the Earth. And even though he has this form of a giant dragon people, he can also change his shape, since his body is a malleable mass. He also knows all the events happening around the universe. Before his ancient city Rilius sank, he stayed in contact with other entities and humans. Oh, and just so you understand that when I say that even while sleeping, Cthulhu is able to be in other people's dreams. In 1925, he caused several people worldwide to go insane. Several strange events also happened around the world, and many people decided to end their own lives. This all occurred while Cthulhu slept, and Cthulhu also shares another ability common to all beings in Lovecraft's universe. It's that thing where, when you look at them, you instantly go insane. I mean, not instantly. Because there were characters who saw Cthulhu and still managed to get home. But even so, over time, they started to lose their minds. Even though Cthulhu is a powerful being who colonized and influences Earth even while asleep, why isn't he the most powerful entity in Lovecraft's works? That's easy. Cthulhu is a great old one, not an outer god. In this case, they are entities that usually stay outside of Earth or outside of space. They are beings that, in this case, make our universe what it is, and Cthulhu is not one of them. Cthulhu might influence events on Earth, but not in space. Let's agree on that, right? Cthulhu being defeated by a boat in the Call of Cthulhu is disappointing. He was supposed to end the world when he woke up, but instead, he got hit by a boat and went back to sleep, so he's not that powerful, right? Please like, subscribe, share, and hype the channel. If you'd like to support more, consider becoming a member for under 5 Rs. You've been a huge help in letting me keep working here. If you want to start exploring Lovecraft's universe, check out the book currently on your screen, or check out the description or the pinned comment. Now we can move on to the outer gods, or as I like to say in English, outer gods, which sounds much cooler to say, honestly. Let's start with Shub-Niggurath, who is one of the essential beings in the universe. That's because she is actually the mother of the Pantheon. She's kind of like the Gaia from Greek mythology, but in the Lovecraft universe and way, way stranger, Shub-Niggurath is called the mother of the Pantheon. She would be, in quotes, a progenitor of several powerful mythic entities, according to some Lovecraft letters. Many people don't use these, but I do, since it makes sense to include them. After all, if he made the tree, it's because he already had it in his mind, and he didn't make it randomly. Anyway, there, in that little tree, she appears as the mother, together with Yog-Sothoth of Nug and Ebi, who in turn gave birth to Cthulhu and Azathoth. She would actually be the life of the universe itself. When I say she's very strange, it's because she's more than just the mother of those creatures. Isn't that right? But yes, because actually Shub-Niggurath, she has the form of a giant weird goat. She kind of spits out little creatures that would be her children, and then she ends up devouring them again. If they can't escape, we don't really know exactly where this naughty goat is, do we? But one of the likely places is, for example, the court of Azathoth, which I'll talk about soon, on the planet Yadid. She would exist in multiple places at once across parallel dimensions. It's strange, but I think you understand. She is also possibly the most worshipped of all, or one of the most worshipped, because she is adored by several beings. There. From Lovecraft's universe, there are very ancient beings, like, for example, the Mu and the Hyperboreans, and even alien races there, which are more recent, let's say like the Mygo, and the underground creatures, or the Dolis. She controls the forests and nature, and when summoned, she takes charge. Ali and her offspring that I mentioned to you are called Darkian, or Black Spawn, or Dark Spawn, and they act as guardians and delegates on Earth, accepting sacrifices and spreading their faith. But even with all of this, to me, she is not the most powerful. That's because even though she is the very life of the universe, she is not the universe itself. Unlike the first 3 beings I'll discuss here, since those 3 are the real big shots. Now let's talk about the one who might be the most dangerous of all these beings I'm going to mention here. And I said dangerous, not powerful, okay? He is also an outer god and is the main herald of Azathoth, being his direct son. Of the one who, in theory, is the first being in the entire Lovecraft universe, Pioneer, Nyarlathotep would be the messenger of the gods, and the one who has several avatars around the world. He's unique among Lovecraft's beings because he directly interacts with humans and even speaks our language. Well, I'm human too, I think. He could appear in countless forms, from a very charming Egyptian lighthouse to even colossal abominations with tentacles. Each avatar would have its own unique ability. For example, we have the Haunter of the Dark, who flies and hates the light, and the Black Man, who appears in witchcraft rituals. Nyarlathotep, unlike his father, who is known as an idiot, is very intelligent. He knows many secrets throughout the universe. Some technologies and sciences appear magical to us. In fact, he performs magic and even changes reality. He managed to make a portal appear to the center of the universe. In fact, not the center of the universe, but the center of the multiverse. On a regular street at a street corner, right there on the corner, in one of his stories. And he even brought drawings he had made to life, making them jump around in midair. And, besides having access to humans themselves, Nyarlathotep, unlike his father, Yog-Sothoth and Shub-Niggurath, and even Cthulhu in a way, He has free access to any part of the multiverse. He comes and goes whenever he wants. That's why many people often consider him the most powerful in the Lovecraft universe, or at least in the top two, competing with Yog-Sothoth himself. Well, Yog is definitely one of the most powerful and most complex beings in the Lovecraft universe. If Nyarlathotep is the soul of the Lovecraft universe, specifically Azathoth's soul, then Yog-Sothoth is space-time itself, coordinating and controlling everything that happens. In certain realities, Yog-Sothoth is outside the universe itself. To access him, you would have to go through several gates before reaching him, even talk to other entities. Then upon reaching Yogg, Yog-Sothoth knows the entire past and the future simultaneously. For him, time is a single point. He sees all of history at once and controls time and space. As I said, he is the gate's guardian. In theory, he doesn't leave his place, but in reality, people must pass through him to access other realities and times. He is described as a mass of orbs, though they're not eyes. I have no idea what they are, and his true form is incomprehensible. He fills all interplanetary and interdimensional space and is the supreme father of wizards and sorcerers, appealed to by seekers of cosmic secrets. Although the price is usually dissolving body or soul into the vastness of God, he can still have children with biological beings like humans. These offspring typically grow rapidly and have transdimensional traits. He is reality's foundation, serving as both the barrier and link between our universe and the absolute void. Without Yog-Sothoth, the universe would have no structure. What is existence woven upon? Yog-Sothoth became very famous, especially among the power-scaling community, because of a story in which he appears, which is Through the Gates of the Silver Key, and the protagonist of that story is Randolph Carter. He accessed the gates and reached Yog-Sothoth, who became famous in the power-scaling community, and is seen as the Lovecraft universe's most powerful being. By them, because of a specific passage from Through the Gates of the Silver Key, where he is called the Supreme Archetype. And many people in the community say that actually Yog-Sothoth would be all the beings in the universe, all because of this phrase itself. In fact, he would even be the other gods of this universe, like the outer gods. Some even say that Yog-Sothoth has a true form, or a true form, because of this so-called Supreme Archetype. But the Supreme Archetype is only mentioned in this passage, only in this story, and it's not even mentioned as being related to the other gods. Relating to other great old ones, Lovecraft never mentions this so-called Supreme Archetype again. If it were truly as important as they claim, he would have mentioned it in other stories. For me, that's the main flaw that undermines this argument. It's that the Supreme Archetype is connected with thinkers and artists and not exactly with all beings in the universe. In fact, I'm going to read it to you and put it up on the screen. The archetypes continued. The waves are the people of the final abyss, uniform, ineffable, and imagined only by rare dreamers in low-dimensional worlds. The primary one was the self-being, the informing being, which was actually Carter's archetype. Carter's and his ancestors' relentless pursuit of forbidden cosmic secrets naturally stemmed from the Supreme Archetype. In all worlds, all the great wizards, all the great thinkers, all the great artists are facets of him. Even in this passage, as you can see, Carter himself is also portrayed as being part of the Supreme Archetype. I could talk about this passage for a while, but here's the main point. Azathoth is indeed an extremely powerful being, but most people who study Lovecraft don't put him in first place. That's because here we have the cosmic principle of everything, according to Lovecraft's universe, Azathoth. Azathoth epitomizes cosmic horror. He is often called by several names, including the Demon Sultan, a reference to him being the chief of all, the nuclear chaos, and even the blind idiot god. That's because he has no awareness of the things happening around him. Azathoth's most terrifying power is that our entire reality might actually be his dream, which is why he has no awareness of everything happening around him. Stars, planets, gods, and humans exist only because he's dreaming. If he wakes, the universe vanishes instantly. Is that why there are actually those gods who keep playing music around him? This is also in Eric Zane's story, where he hears strange music from a space. He is the source of all matter and all energy. He doesn't even stay at the center of the universe, but rather at the center of the multiverse. Actually, he stays in a place that I can't even exactly describe what it is, but I'll read you an excerpt in a moment. He is often depicted as a colossal, amorphous mass of bubbling chaos. He is so immense that beings like Cthulhu seem insignificant next to him. He is the only one among these beings who is, in a way, revered by another entity, Nyarlathotep. And just like in all mythology, we have a creation myth that explains how everything came to be here in Lovecraft's universe, and it couldn't be any different. Here we also have to have what's called a cosmogonic myth, which in this case would be the story of how everything began, according to Lovecraft's own study book of Lovecraftian mythology. The so-called Cthulhu cycle must originate at the center, radiating outward to its surroundings. And it can only be the supreme power of Azathoth, the demonic sultan. He is the perfection of the most basic and primitive principles of cosmogonic myths. He resides at the center of the infinity of profane chaos. He is an unknowing and blind entity, just like the chaos of Greek mythology. Irrational, even foolish in a way, who ended up creating the universe purely by chance, for an inscrutable and perhaps even mundane reason. Maybe even because he isn't aware of the things he has done. Many put him below Yog-Sothoth, but that doesn't make sense since Yog-Sothoth exists only because of Azathoth. It's like a fish fighting the ocean. And even though he has this nickname of blind idiot god, this nickname is much more, especially because people aren't brave enough to say Azathoth's name. Check out this excerpt from the story. There were in such journeys incalculable local dangers, as well as that shocking final danger that babbles the unnameable. Outside the ordered universe where no dream reaches, channel of an amorphous plague of extreme confusion that blasphemes and bubbles at the center of all infinity, the limitless demon sultan Azathoth, whose name no lips dare speak aloud, and who gnaws hungrily in the inconceivable, unlit chamber. Beyond time, amid the muffled, maddening beat of vile drums, and to the thin, monotonous wail of the cursed flutes, to which loathsome beats and flutes dance slowly, awkwardly, and absurdly. The gigantic supreme gods, blind, deaf, dark, the irrational and other gods, whose soul and messenger is the crawling chaos. Nyarlathotep. If Nyarlathotep is the soul of the universe and Azathoth is space-time, Azathoth is the very existence of everything. Do you agree or disagree with what I said here? Comment below, like, subscribe, and see you next time.